Welcome to the Real Pro Podcast. Real stories, real growth, and the real people behind the movement.
You know, we came from a very poor background starting out. I grew up in a caravan park. Two trailer park boys go around the outside. I used to work in the casinos. I used to deal blackjack roulette. But the business really started for me when I started in the field, door to door, working the system. I don't think anyone ever fails. I think they're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, leaders are not born. You know, you develop leaders. We really in such an amazing space right now. Got a lot of clients that are now starting to knock on our doors.
Where did this business start? Not on paper, but reality.
When I was forced to make a tough decision of leaving my job, I used to work in the casinos. I used to be a dealer. I used to deal blackjack roulette, all the games. I was in the casinos for getting on 10 years. I was in middle management, and they ran a course at the casino, because obviously the casinos were just expanding. They just opened up all the new casinos, and there were a big influx of new staff. Obviously BEE was massive. There was this big development drive to get new people through the system, and I was part of that, developing new dealers, helping guys grow. And I got to a point where I was sitting with my manager and talking about me getting to management. So I was in middle management. I was in the business for 10 years. I was the best at what I was doing as a dealer, as a supervisor, as a pit manager. And she said to me, 10 years, if you're lucky. And I was like, okay, that's a bit hectic. And they ran a course which was called Who Moved the Cheese? And the book was basically around, if you're not happy in your current environment, or you feel you should be doing better, stop complaining, move. And they actually ran this in the casino. They had a couple of guys that do these courses come in and do them. It was a really good course. It was called Group Synergy. Talks a lot about people and how we're all the same and do very similar things. So, I realized that it was time for me to move. And so I went looking for a job. A friend of mine actually was working for a sales company, and she got me a job, and I went and worked there for 3 months. They paid me a basic salary. I didn't do very well and ended up leaving. Then I ended up coming for an interview with a company called PI Direct at the time, which was indirect sales, and I did my first round interview. I think that's where the business really started for me, was when I started indirect sales. Went out on an interview day, did well, started out in the business and really excelled. In the first 7 days, got promoted to trainer. From there, it took me another year to get promoted to management. Once I got promoted to management, I developed my first managers, within months. And over the next few years, developed more and more managers, more people. And it's been an exciting journey. It's been an up and down journey. But the business really started for me when I started in the field, door to door, working the system.
What part of your upbringing most shaped your leadership style?
What shaped my leadership style from my upbringing would be, we came from a very poor background starting out. I grew up in a caravan park. Two trailer park boys go around the outside. I think, coming from humble beginnings, I wasn't very confident at school. And so going through school, I was bullied. I wasn't the most popular guy. I was more the quiet guy in the background. But being that guy made me observe other people, and I observed how people were different, how to actually interact, how to grow myself, how to be a better person. And I think that was probably the biggest positive, was because I went through all of that. When I got into a position where I was growing and moving, I was more empathetic. I was, more understanding. I could see through people's nonsense a lot quicker because I was the quiet guy growing up. So I think I learned a lot of And I only realized it later, obviously, because when you're going through it, you don't really realize it. But later in life, when you look back, that was probably the biggest blessing. Was obviously growing up from a poorer environment. I mean, I wasn't poor. My parents obviously did really well later on, and started doing and working. But starting out, we were caravan park, trailer trash.
What's a leadership belief you've changed your mind about?
So they say you're born a salesperson. I don't believe that. I've seen guys come into our business with no experience, straight out of school, and really just apply themselves, and within 3 months they're some of the top salespeople. Leaders are not born. You develop leaders. Leaders are people that are willing to work harder than people around them. They're willing to learn. They're willing to ask questions. They're willing to take themselves to that next level. And that's, for me, is sometimes a belief. Is some people believe that people are born with it. I don't believe that.
What broke when the company started growing?
So initially, when I first started running the company, I started with 400 guys and only one client. Our structures weren't great at the time. Administratively, we weren't good. I wasn't good at finance. I took some big hidings in my first year building my company, just getting to understand more around SARS, tax, what needs to be paid, how it needs to be paid. So, I think I wouldn't say anything breaks. I think it's more just learning lessons and becoming good at what you do to build something that's going to be long lasting. I think a lot of times guys like to shortcut things and find shorter ways or better ways or easier ways. But at the end of the day, there's only one way, and that's the right way. And so if you build a company and you're putting something together, there's 1,000 ways you can do it, but the basic principles of what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, those things are very important. I learned that through the first few years.
Someone who thrives here compared to someone who fails.
So somebody who thrives here is somebody that will come in, ask a lot of questions, apply what they learned. I've seen it over and over with guys as we develop them, that the more you're willing to put yourself into a situation, challenge yourself, put your pride in your pocket, and just learn, take the information from people around you, apply it, really put yourself to the sword. Before you know it, you're growing and you're moving. People that fail generally is because of their personal stuff generally. They've got mommy issues or money issues and time issues and travel issues, and everything's an excuse and an issue, and everybody can make excuses. At the end of the day, I've seen people from the worst situations struggling with everything that come in and just find a way. They find a way to get it done. They find a way to get in. They find a way to get the information. They keep asking, keep learning. Those are the people that grow. I don't think anyone ever fails. I think they're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
When do you step in versus step back?
For me, stepping in is if I've got something important to say. I think, I see a lot of people that like to talk. I sit in conversations on a daily basis, and I don't really say much. I just listen, because a lot of people just like to talk. So, for me personally, I only really like to talk if I feel like I've got something of value to add. And if I know that I know what I'm talking about. I think a lot of people like to back themselves with nonsense, especially when it comes to theory and, theories or beliefs, and, they don't have the experience or the proof behind it, but yet they'll sit and back it 100% over and over and over. So I think for me, the time to talk is when you know what you're talking about, you 100% believe in what you're talking about, then talk about it. And back off when you don't know what you're talking about. Be willing to say, yes, maybe you're right, I don't know. Let's do the research. Google it.
How do you make calls when there's no clear right answer?
So I don't think there's ever really a clear right answer. I mean, maybe there is, but at the end of the day, you make calls based on the situation, and situation will determine, what call you need to make. So that's, a little bit of a broad question, because every situation can be different. No two situations are the same. No two people are the same. So, if you have the same situation but two different people, you would have two different responses.
Who holds you accountable?
I hold myself accountable more than anyone. I think obviously everyone around me holds me accountable, but not directly. I think indirectly people hold me accountable. I think there's a huge expectation for me to perform that I put on myself. I don't think anyone else necessarily puts it on me. But I do put it on myself, because I feel like there's hundreds of people that rely on our business, that rely on what we do. And so it becomes important for me to find ways to make the business work, to make the business grow, to create more opportunity, to create the opportunity for people to grow into spaces they can be.
Where is the business going in the next 3 to 5 years?
We're in a really exciting space right now. We've just partnered with Jota 2 Group, with Bill Sard and his organization. They're an international company that it's a group of 68 companies internationally. So we're busy partnering. They bring a huge backing from an operational perspective and from a client perspective. They're obviously backing us because they know we're really good at the developing, training and managing of people. We're really good at running sales teams. So we really in such an amazing space right now. We've got a lot of clients that are now starting to knock on our doors. Our challenge right now is we need people. We need to develop the next managers. We need more teams. We need to go from where we are right now, which is around 300-400 people on the ground and call center, up to 900, 1,000 people this year, never mind in the next 3 to 5 years. So this is a big year. I'm excited. I'm getting into the office, running the guys again, working with the managers, because, for the first time in a couple of years, we've been sort of fighting the Telkom, Vodacom battle, and, they're great clients for us, and, we're doing great work with them. Now we get to expand into other industries, into retail, into insurance. This next 2 years is going to be unbelievable.
What is one hard truth about business that no one prepares you for?
You're accountable for everything. As much as you surround yourself with people that can do finance, admin, all these other roles in your business, the one thing you need to understand as a business owner is everything always comes back to you. You need to be able to cope with it, and you need to have a really strong attitude, so that if no matter what's happening around you, no one in your company would know that you've got issues. According to everyone, you're living your best life. And I think that's really important for any business owner.
What principles do you never compromise on?
For me, coming through school and being bullied, and seeing people sort of take advantage of people around them, for me, I really don't have time for that. So, it's something I work really hard with my managers, with trainers and leaders now over the next few months, is just teaching them to really have empathy, work hard with people, put in the effort. No one's better than anyone else at the end of the day. Everybody's moving in a direction. Yes, we might make more money, we might be more successful in different things, but that doesn't make you a better human being than anyone else. I shy away when I see people acting like that. I would generally just move away from them.
What do you want your legacy to be at Real Promotions?
I think it would be giving people opportunities to improve their lives. I think, that for me is probably the most important thing, is seeing people grow. I've grown many people through my organization over the last 20 years. I've been doing this. I've been running, my own office since 2003, where I started developing my first managers. I've been through multiple clients, multiple situations. I've built organizations over and over. The direct sales industry is a fickle industry. It's a tough industry. When things get tough and the clients get tough and the money gets tight, you tend to lose people and things changed, and then when you're growing, everyone's on the gravy train and everyone loves it. But as soon as they say when the going gets tough, the weak fuck off. And so I've seen over and over in business. And so my legacy would be that I've developed hundreds of people through this business, whether it's new people that are now in my business or whether it's from 10 years ago. There's people that still thank me today for what they've learned from me, from this business, from what we do. And, I think that for me is probably the thing that makes me the happiest, is seeing other people succeed.